Good afternoon, and thank you for joining today's webinar. This is Amanda Stem, Operations Manager for Wydell Real Estate. I am going to mute all the participants at this point to reduce background noise. I will open it up for questions and unmute everyone at the end of the webinar. So if you do think of questions as we go along, feel free to jot them down and ask them at the end of today's session. Today's webinar is on showing time, and the version of showing time that we use here at Wydell Real Estate is Front Desk. So the screen that's up right now is the screen when you initially log in to showing time. This is the home screen. The two things that we are going to concentrate on today is setting your personal preferences and scheduling an appointment. So in order to set your personal preferences, you need to go to the icon in the corner here, click on Edit My Profile, and from here you scroll down, and there's two types of preferences that you can set up. There are the listing agent preferences, which are the preferences that you want to come up as far as what the default showing instructions are going to be. So this is when you list a property, it will come in automatically from the multiple listing, usually almost as quickly as 10 minutes from the time you activate it in the MLS. So it does come over very quickly. So once you have a listing activated in the multiple listing system, you can go right to showing time and confirm the showing instructions in case you start to get calls on that listing right away. But to set up the default showing instructions, that's what you do in your profile here. So this is what's going to come up on your listings. You have the choice of the type of showing instructions that you want to choose. And so whatever you do the most often is what you're going to set up as your defaults. Then you also have the option for how you're notified of the showings and the appointments on the listing, where you have the choice of getting an email, a text message, or a phone call. And also if there are any changes to your listings, like the showing instructions. And also you will be notified on your dashboard if you need further instructions in any of your listings. You also have the option of making some changes to the feedback section. Showing time does automatically send feedback requests out to the showing agents for the property. So this allows you to choose how many times the feedback request goes out and how many days in between the requests. Or you can turn it off entirely if you intend to make the calls on the feedback, or if you're not looking for feedback on showings on a particular property. Now the second area for preferences that you can set up on your particular profile are as if you were the showing agent. So these preferences are how you're notified of confirmed appointments that you're making on properties that you wish to show. So if you call on a property that's in showing time and set up, this is how you want to be notified, either by email, text message, or calls again. And also you have the choice of different notifications you can get, whether or not you get feedback requests from other agents. I highly suggest that you don't turn that off, because if you are the type of person that wants to find out the feedback from showing agents on your property, but you're not someone who gives feedback, sometimes you get what you give. So I think providing constructive feedback for showings is a great way to then receive feedback on your properties when you do have them listed. So those are the two types of preferences that you can set up within your profile on showing time. The next thing that we're going to take a quick look at is your dashboard. So the initial screen that we saw when we logged in here was the home screen. From your dashboard, you can see specific information that's specific just to you. So if you have feedback requests that are outstanding, if you've gotten feedback on any of your listings, if you haven't completed your showing instructions, or if you have showings scheduled on your listings or showings that you have scheduled on other people's listings, all those statistics come up on this dashboard page. Now, if we go back to the home screen, from the home screen, what we're going to talk about next is scheduling an appointment. So what we just went through as far as the preferences and the dashboard, that is your personal use of showing time. But now we're going to talk about when you sit floor time and you're taking phone calls that come in, and often those phone calls are people who are wanting to make appointments on your office's listings. So from here, on the home screen, you can go under appointments and click on showing, or hover over the new showing icon, and then you have the opportunity from there to select the appointment type. Most of the time when you're on floor time, the appointment type is going to be strictly a showing. As a listing agent, you might schedule things like agent previews and inspections, appraisals, and walkthroughs. But if you're on floor time and you're making appointments for other people's listings, 99% of the time, the appointment type is going to be a showing. So once you click on the appointment type, you have two choices for the type of search you can do. There's quick and advanced. Again, most of the time you're going to be able to do a quick search, because that you're going to be searching by the street name. So the agent who's calling to make the appointment most likely is going to have the street name in front of them, and that's the easiest way for you to search. If by some chance someone calls up who doesn't have the street name, then you can select advanced, and that might be if you get a call on floor time from a possible lead who's interested in a particular property. So that way, maybe they saw a sign that had a particular agent's name on it. You can search by their name. You can search by subdivision, the owner's names, which you're not likely going to have on a call-in. So most of the time when someone calls in, you're going to select quick for search. And they're going to give you a street name. You don't put a number in to start with, just in case they have the number wrong. You can just type the name of the street, and as you type, it begins to narrow down the listings that have that name. So you don't even have to type the complete street name in. So once the property that they're calling on comes up, you can double click on that, and then that takes you to the showing agent screen. And for that, you can then type in the agent's name who's calling to make the appointment. Now, if you have maybe only the first name, you can type either the first name or the last name into the box. But if the first name provides you with a lot of results, you can then put a space and start to type the last name, which is, again, going to narrow it down the more you add in. So then you double click on the agent name who's calling to make the appointment for the showing. And the next thing you have to do is make sure that their information, as far as the way they're going to be notified, is included here. Now this can vary depending on what each individual showing agent has set up as their default choice for contact. If text message is selected and there is not a text message number there, it will not let you go through to the next step of scheduling the appointment until you enter something or unselect the choice where there isn't a contact information there. So as long as all the confirmation, there's no red boxes in this section, then you go to select a date and time. Now sometimes you'll see that there are other confirmed showings, and then there's also times that are grayed out here, which is the homeowners in this case have requested a certain length of time of being notified before the showing takes place. If it's 24 hours, you're not able to select any of the time frames in the next 24 hours. This is a shorter time frame, so you have to select a start time as well as an end time for your appointment to go through. Now there are two sections of information that you want to be careful to check on this screen. And one is the appointment instructions for the staff. So this is appointment instructions for you as the person who is scheduling the appointments. So in this case, it's log the appointment here in showing time, and then you go direct. So there's not a lot of confirmation involved in this. So those are the instructions that you need to look at as the person who's making the appointment. Now, additionally, there is a section for instructions for the showing agent. So there's not a lot of specifics on this particular listing, but it does tell you the type of lockbox, and the additional information can be here. So this lets us know that the super box is on the front door. But if there were alarm codes, that type, or pet instructions, that type of information, or even if there was anything particular that you wanted the showing agent to know about the property, you would, like if there were not lights available in a particular area of the house and you wanted them to bring a flashlight, or if the lockbox happens to be on the side door and people were having a hard time finding it, you might want to put those directions there. So those are directions that as the person making the appointment you can give to the showing agent. Also, if they have email confirmation as one of their types of confirmation, those instructions as well as the directions to the property will come in an email to them as well when the appointment is confirmed. So in this section where you select a date and time, we've selected a start time and an end time. You have the opportunity here if it is a different type of showing, if you want to get more specific, if it's a second showing or a third showing. You can change the appointment type here, but we had already selected that in the beginning. And then all you need to do is click on Continue, Save Appointment as Shown. So when an appointment is confirmed, as this one is because there wasn't any necessity to reach out to either the listing agent or the homeowner because it happened to be a property that you could go direct with. This comes up immediately as confirmed. Now, as the listing agent, I'm going to log out and log back in so you can see, I'm sorry, as the showing agent, what you'll see once an appointment has been confirmed. So from here, I'm looking at the home page. From here, I'll click on My Dashboard. And so now I'm logging in as the showing agent. And I can see that there are 3 confirmed appointments today. And then I can also look at my list, the appointment calendar that shows me when the appointments are scheduled. So I can see that there's one that still requires confirmation today, and there are 6 showings that have already been confirmed. And if I click on these, it opens up the calendar and shows me the specific information. These are the properties that the showings have been confirmed on. And then I have one that's still, that an appointment is required, and there's still an extra step involved where either the listing agent or the homeowner, depending on what the instructions for this particular property were, needs to be contacted to confirm that appointment. So those are the 2 things I'm going to focus on for showing time today. The first was, again, that we set up our profile preferences. So setting up those preferences for what your showing instructions are for your listings. As listing agents, we have the responsibility to put, if there are specialized instructions for a particular listing, they really have to be specified in showing time so that anyone who's scheduling appointments on your behalf for floor time have the correct information for your particular sellers. So those preferences you need to be very careful to set up. If you have something unusual, you have to remember that what your standard preferences are, and then you have to go in and make the changes accordingly. So if you have a particular property that the showing instructions are pretty standard, except for there's an alarm code, you have to make sure that you go in to those notes and that the alarm code is entered in the showing instructions. So that's how to set up your preferences as well as to schedule an appointment when you're on floor time. I am going to open the line back up and see if anyone has any questions at this time. Does anyone have any questions about the showing time, either setting up preferences or making appointments using showing time front desk? Okay, well, thank you very much for joining the webinar this afternoon, and have a great day.